F1 Hero 2. I have goosebumps only by saying these words and remembering my awesome childhood days where I battled Formula 1 drivers in championships for the very first time. Here in Bulgaria at the end of the 90s we still had the Famicom consoles known as Nintendo Entertainment System in the USA. So basically F1 Hero, even though it was released back in 1991, was my first proper Formula 1 game. And it was a game so much better and more detailed than any other F1 game I have played since then. Yes, we had F1 Race for example, but this was not a proper racing game for Formula 1 fans. F1 Race was only a racing game where you try to reach the next checkpoint and avoid the other cars. If you touch them, your car explodes. F1 Hero 2 by Nakajima was something else, it was on another level. There were better looking games for the more advanced Sega games, but they were only for the rich kids on the block. We had no internet still in our town, so I had no idea that there were other amazing F1 games out there like Grand Prix 2, IndyCar Racing and etc., which were released later than F1 Hero, but before I played the game. Even though none of my friends were able to play it properly because of the not so popular controls, I knew I would play it for hours and hours. The control itself is indeed challenging, you can lay in the car left and right by the greases. For example, if you press the button to go right once, the car will stay like that before you press the button for the second time to lean it even more. You can do that 3 times to the left and 3 times to the right. But the car is not going into central position automatically, so if you are facing a hard chicane for example, starting with a tight left corner, you should press the left button 3 times to take the first part of the chicane, then 2 times to center the car and another 3 times to lean the car at max to the right. This is not the only tricky part, you can tilt the car based on your speed. If you lean it to the max and go too fast, you will slip. The tire wear also dictates how much you can tilt on the car. You have to be careful with the grass as well, as it can easily spin you, even though at some corners you can ride them and go faster, just like Ross Chastain wall riding in NASCAR, but in our case we are riding the grass. The better parts of the curves are not your friends as well. The other tricky part is that you have 4 cars, but only one of them has automatic gears. They all have 4-speed gearboxes. To go 1 gear up, you press the up button, and to go 1 gear down, the down button. I won't lie, the first time I was at the circuit, I was unable to start, not knowing why the car was stuck. It turns out that I was just in neutral gear. Oh boy, these golden memories. I can still remember how angry my neighbors were because of the engine sound. As a proper Formula 1 fan, I love to turn the volume up and just listen to the engine, and the sound, man, were pretty decent for the system. The first place where you can start learning is the warming up mode, where you can choose every car and track available. The cars were Lotus, Terrell 019, Terrell 020 and Makeren. And another awesome thing, they were different in power, handling and tire wear. Of course, Makeren was the fastest and Lotus the slowest, as Terrell 020 was the only one with automatic gears. But here is the funny part, you cannot start the Grand Prix mode with the fastest car. You start with Lotus and have to unlock the others one by one. The circuits follow the F-1 1991 calendar, and I will list them in the video description together with the list of the drivers. In the battle mode, the screen splits into two halves and you can have player versus player, AI versus AI, and player versus AI. And the biggest joy for me was the Grand Prix mode, where the championships were held. At every level you have a different driver or boss which you have to beat to advance to the next level. At first there are just a few races and WAPs, but as you progress in your career the number of WAPs and races increases, which gives you the ability to take advantage of another cool feature, the pit stops. So, as I said, tire wear is important in the game, but if you wear your tires more in the later stages, you can use the pit stop to change them and become fast again. It's just mind-blowing how an NES game from 1991 can simulate such a thing. The AIs also use pit stops, so it is one amazing strategy battle with them. Meanwhile, in every championship you have 5 opponents, as you need to take part in the qualifying session to qualify for the race. Only the 4 fastest cars from quali can race there and score points. After the end of the championship, the driver in the worst position relegates and a new boss comes in his place, and you have to beat him now. The driver's strength is another exciting feature of the game. The AI is set up by strength, but it can make mistakes as well or mess up the pit stop strategy, and this leads to great races where the final standings are not always the same. Another awesome thing that I loved is the refs. If you upshift at the perfect time, you can enjoy a small amount of speed increase. And the fact that the next boss is faster than the previous requires more from you as well. You have to become faster to adapt to a few new circuits as well. But the difference in the strength of the bosses is not a problem, it is perfectly balanced and gives you the chance to become better and better level after level and still challenge the next boss properly. And to continue your progress, the game gives you passwords, but they are in Japanese. Believe me, I had so many frustrating moments where I either didn't type the Japanese words correctly in my notebook, which I still keep, or I didn't type them correctly in the game. I had to start a level again and again until I finally learned how to use the system. One of the few things that I did not enjoy was the fact that you cannot touch your opponent's car. But I guess they made it like that only for the races to be cleaner and more interesting. Also, because of the specific controls, you had to go inside the corner before the corner itself, which is opposite to the laws of physics. There was no fuel as well. There are almost no trackside objects, so for years I thought that the circuit in Phoenix is not a street one. The names of the drivers are strange as well, I guess because of licensing rights. But these are just small things that were not going to frustrate me and take away the joy of playing the game. Because of all this, I can truly say that I had so many awesome memories of Satoru Nakajima's creation. I had thousands of hours of pure joy when I was winning and anger when I was losing or was unable to rewrite the code for the next championship. I'm happy that this game was part of my life for years and taught me to demand more realism. Somewhere there a true sim racer was born, even though this was not a real sim racing title, and even today I'm getting sad only because I gave my cartridge to someone else and now I don't have it anymore. Well, at least no one can take away the perfect memories.